Welcome back to another edition of the Call Up podcast, where today I get to interview a person that I met on Instagram that has an amazing collection. If you haven't seen it, you're going to definitely get to know more about him and what he loves to collect and what his collection looks like. So Josh, what's going on?
Hey man, good to meet you finally here on Zoom, and thanks for having me.
Oh man, thanks for being here. So I've been following your page for quite some time now, and I just love everything that you have in your collection, especially like a lot of your autograph pieces that you have. So like, what got you started in like just collecting wrestling figures in general?
Yeah, man. I mean, so I've been a fan for a long time. I guess I started watching. I guess it tells my age a little bit when I was 7, which was 1990. And at the time, man, Hasbro's came out that year. So what a perfect combination, right? Of being a 7-year-old kid at the exact same time, the first series of Hasbro's hit the stores. So I never actually, saw LJNs in the store, but Hasbro's right away. So I grew up with that. I think my first 2 figures are Rick Rude and Jake the Snake, and you don't forget that. It's weird. You grow up through the years and those certain memories of your first, toys, and it just sticks with you. And throughout the years, I just always was a wrestling fan. There was probably only a very small period in my life where I didn't watch it, maybe like a year. But, since I was about 7, I've basically been a fan. And my figure collecting has been something I've always been about. But things definitely like kind of, it slowed down a bit, and then it got crazy again, and then it got even crazier. And now it's definitely at this peak of craziness, where it's kind of overtaken a lot of my life, which is good and bad, I guess. But luckily I married somebody who is totally, I would say totally, but she's cool about, what I'm about and all of this, and she supports it. And I guess that support kind of led to me being like, well, if she's cool with this, why don't I take it to this next level? So things just kind of ballooned in the last.
Is there a limit to collecting? Like, is there a door, like a hobby door in wrestling collecting that you just won't open?
There's a lot. I mean, you never say never in wrestling, right? That's what they say. So it's hard.
Yeah, that's true. True.
It's hard for me to sit here and say that there's nothing I wouldn't try, because I collected pay-per-view chairs and I've got a ridiculous amount of them, as you've probably seen on my account. That's probably one of the more unique things I've collected. And I don't know. That was an idea that I'm going to either really regret, or maybe one day I'll be really grateful I did it. But that's tough, because that takes up a lot of space. It wasn't easy to find a lot of them, and it was costly. But
I was the same way. I when I started collecting, I just collected titles in the beginning, and I said to myself, I was like, oh, I'll collect a couple of replicas. A friend of mine's got me into it, and then I said, that's all I'm gonna do. And then I started looking at the figures, and I said, I'll collect a couple here and there of guys that I like. And then that blew up to the point where I started like buying figures almost like every week of getting stuff. And I said, you know what, I'm only gonna stick to these things. And then, especially with this hobby here, you meet so many different people, and you look at the collection, and you kind of like, oh man, I kind of wonder, like, you get excited about something new, especially like, say, with event chairs. I have a couple of them myself. I only have maybe like 2 or 3 of them. And I try not to collect as much because I know I don't have the space. But then I also said to myself, I won't collect any ring gear, items.
That's right? I think that's the one thing I think I've told myself the same thing. Those ring worn outfits and stuff, especially now, it's just too expensive.
Yeah. But here's the thing now. So now I met people who collect ring gear and have conversations with them, and then they have certain pieces, and I'd be like, how did you get that? Wow, that's amazing. And then they'll link me to somebody who can get me this stuff. And guess what happened?
You got some.
I end up collecting.
I saw you have some big E pieces, right?
Yeah. So one of my friends that I met through this hobby, he knows that I'm a big New Day fan. I practically have almost everything New Day. And one day he hits me up and he goes, hey, I know you are not a ring worn guy, I know this, but I got something that I think that you will be interested in. And I was like, what? So he sends me a link that Big E was selling some of his ring gear. And I go, okay. I was like, I played with the idea. And, you had that monkey on your back that's telling you like, hey, maybe you want to take a look at it again. And then the person who was selling it was through a third party. And they said, oh, best offer. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to throw it out there and see if the person bites. It was like maybe like $1,000 for the piece that they wanted. So I said, I'll give you half. I'll give you 500 and see how it goes. And I did not even think that the person was going to say yes. 3 hours later, I get your bid was accepted. And I was just like, what? I was like, and that's how it started. And now that door has opened and I collect a couple of more things from the New Day and from Josh Alexander from the North. And yeah, the list goes on because I have more stuff coming in. I have some stuff from
Were you able to connect with Biggie as well about some of these pieces to kind of have it authenticated since it was third party?
Yeah. So the first piece that I got through Biggie, it was through a third party, and it was kind of a little iffy about it, but I did do the research, and this company is legit. But I end up finding a way to get a hold of Big E personally, and then the person who actually made the ring gear itself. So when they looked at it and they said, yeah, no, I made that. That's my design. And I know Big E personally. And then when I reached out to Big E was like, no, yeah, I did sell that to them. I sold a couple of pieces for charity. So I was like, okay, cool. And then I ended up getting, which I posted one not too long ago. I actually got that from him.
Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. So that kind of, started the conversation, I bet. And he was like, we'll make it easy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. And you know what? If the situation came along where I was offered like the opportunity to get something cool and it was a reasonable price, I would never say never, but that's a tough game. There's a lot of people out there that buy that stuff, that spend good money, thousands of dollars on that type of stuff. And if I'm a figure collector first, which I am, and I think I always will be, I gotta have at least some money for mortgage. So I'm sticking with that. So other than that, there was one other thing I was thinking about that I like cards, like I always think about cards. But I like, I want to stay away from that as much as possible because I think that's another trap. Like you're never done with that. That's like, especially a guy like me, like I'll be buying packs every day. It'll be like cigarettes.
I opened that door as well, but I kind of like semi-open it. I closed it a little bit because it was just getting too much, where I was just like, I found myself buying like 3 to 5 different packs of the hobby boxes like a week, and that adds up. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, damn, I could probably put this towards a whole entire set of figures instead of these cards. But then I actually did get to sell the cards off, which was
there's
okay,
value there. It's valuable stuff. I mean, if you know the game and you play it right, I mean, I think you can make some money in it now. Like, but it's just, who knows? Like things are crazy right now in the whole wrestling collecting world. I mean, it's never been crazier. On one hand, I'm like really thankful that I was able to get so many great pieces at the time that I did. And on the other hand, it's like, man, it's really hard to be a collector right now, in the sense that it's very difficult to find the deals that I used to be able to find, because there's so many more people out there than ever before that are looking for the same things. The positive is, hey, my pieces are probably worth a lot more right now. But again, as a buyer, you're competing against so many people. So it's like, you're not getting the deals. And I regret so many things I didn't buy. And I think I bought a lot of stuff over the last like 4 years, but I think back to some of the things I could have gotten that I just won't have a shot at anytime soon, especially at the prices I could have gotten them at. Like the Rey Mysterio, SDCC pop is like one of the grail pieces I've been kind of holding off on, and I need that piece. And it was at about $400 for a while, $400, and I passed up on it so many times on eBay. Now it's, I think, at 900. Yeah, I ain't gonna find that for less than $650 right now. So it's like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, when's the right time to buy something anymore? So I usually jump on things quickly when they go on sale. If it's something I like, I'm not gonna wait for the secondhand market. I can't do it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's true. I've noticed how things have changed, especially with the, with COVID and this whole pandemic, where it's either people are selling off their collections or people are buying a lot more. I know for me, it was more, I was just buying a lot more because I'm home. There's nothing to do. I can't go out anywhere. So what am I doing? I'm shopping on eBay.
Yep.
I'm on Facebook because there's Facebook markets out there and different, Facebook groups, and everybody's selling stuff off. And it's just like, all
And
you can do is
you mentioned virtual signings, and that's
yes.
been a huge part of our lives now. I think as far as us wrestling collectors go, I've made some really good friends, that do it, and there's some good promoters I love to help. So that's been really fun. I got into 8x10s for a while. I was never really an 8x10 guy. And the thing about 8x10s is like it's hard to display them. You buy them, you put them in a book. I mean, obviously you can. There are ways to display them, but for somebody who craves the wall space that I do for toys and shit, like obviously 8x10s just go in the book, which I'm cool with. But and that was fun getting, like, for a while I was getting all sorts of autographs, personalized and stuff. I kind of slowed down because I feel like you're getting the same people over and over again at this point. You know what I mean? There's only so many wrestlers that I'd give a shit about getting autographs from. Like, I don't care about every single ECW guy ever like 400 times, but
Yeah, no, I noticed that like I'm here and like I'm in Brooklyn, so we have like the Wrestling Universe, and
yeah,
they have like, I think they so far they had almost like every ECW guy come in.
oh my god, yeah.
So it's like, after a while you kind of like, okay, I can't be there every single weekend, like giving you my money to get an autograph. So I kind of like pick and choose.
How far is that from where you live?
About like, I'm gonna say like 15 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm jealous of that. Like, there's really nothing like that in the Philly area. Like, there's not like a wrestling. Like, there was George's Collectibles, and he used to do the signings. That actually wasn't too far away. But Wrestling Universe seems pretty consistent, a little bit more consistent, especially right now.
Yeah,
So,
I mean they've been doing a really good job as far as like keeping everybody like social distance and having like a really safe like environment to like actually meet the like the talent and stuff like that, which is a good thing. But it's sometimes it just becomes way too much.
yeah, I mean, you still got to you got to pick and choose your spots, especially right now with COVID. Like, you can't, like, I was going to signings all the time, before COVID. I mean, I did so many conventions, and Eddie, will speak to that. We did big event last March, right before things went crazy. We got Undertaker, which was awesome. I got a lot done. And then the next thing you know, it was over. And so, like, on one hand, I was thinking, like, I've been fortunate and blessed to meet so many of the guys I wanted to meet throughout, like, WrestleManias and Accesses and WrestleCons and stuff like that, and big events, that this past year was kind of okay to have this break because I feel like I've personally been lucky enough to meet a lot of these guys. So the virtual thing's been cool. Like, and plus I have two little ones. My littlest one's like a little over a year. So it was probably, again, a good year for me to be like not going to wrestling conventions. I had to be home a lot more for the kids. So, it's just that change. I think I see myself going back to conventions, in the future, but it could be a little while. Like, for me, I think I'm not going to go to the current big event coming up. I sent in for Big Show. Because I really I do want to get some Big Show autographs, but I think I just want to wait.
Yeah, no, I was talking to the people for big event because I'm really iffy about going to certain places, and I was at the one in March for the Undertaker, and that line was ridiculous. Like, it was literally like jam packed with each other, and I was just like, so now I'm thinking back, and I'm just like, okay, this is like before COVID, really started ramping up, and I know how they are. So when I spoke to the promoters, they was like, no, everything's gonna be social distance, and we're only letting in a certain amount of people at a time. So I said, okay, I felt a little bit comfortable enough to say, like, I'll go because I want to meet the Big Show, and get some stuff signed. So I said, you know what, I might as well just like go and see. And I spoke to Eddie about it. He said he was gonna go. So I said, all right. I was like, we'll meet up and like go together type of thing.
Yeah.
Because
he's done a couple figures for me, so
yeah.
You know what? If I lived a little bit closer and I didn't have the kids, it probably would have. I probably would have just sucked it up and done it. But with everything going on and that on top of it, and just the fact that there's really nobody else there that I needed to meet, I was kind of just like, I'll do the send-in thing. I think a lot of people are doing that, so I'll trust them. You know what I mean? Like, I've look with the virtuals. I feel like I'm cool with sending my stuff in, more than I used to be. But yeah, I'll get back to the conventions. I hope, like, once I'm vaccinated completely, I think I'll feel differently about
Right.
putting myself out there, and more so, like, because my wife's a nurse, so I never know, like,
Right.
I could be asymptomatic. So
That's true.
yeah.
So let me ask you. So I see a couple of pieces in the back there. So are you and then following your page, are you strictly like an MOC collector, or do you have like a display of like loose figures like in your collection?
Yeah, I got a lot of loose stuff. And I have been meaning to do like a full tour. So full disclosure, so we moved out of the city. I lived in South Philadelphia for a while. We just moved to the suburbs like in the last 2 months, so I was able to really expand my stuff because we have a bigger house now. So in the room I'm in right now, this is like my office, and I'm lucky enough to like put a bunch of stuff up on the walls in here, but I'm gonna do the whole full Wrestle Cave tour pretty soon.
Oh,
I've been taking pictures and putting them on Instagram, but yeah, in there, I got a full loose collection of Hasbro's. I got pretty much a full LJN collection loose, and I've got a pretty nice Elite collection loose. I stopped opening them myself and like doing that like after like maybe like 35 series ago. And I honestly, like, I got lucky. I bought a lot of the early ones, like maybe a couple years after they came out, and I got bargains. I got like great deals on so many of my loose elites. So I was able to just build a collection. So I'll definitely film or take pictures of what I've been doing. Actually, I've got 4 detolfs of Mattel Elites,
mhm.
and I was separating each shelf. Like, I was doing like a 90s shelf, like an 80s shelf, a Attitude Era shelf, a WCW shelf. So I was just trying to like kind of switch it up a little bit, since I moved in. So I've just been there's a couple holes in there that I'm trying to fill in before I like feel like it's complete. But yeah, I mean, I'm not as big of a loose collector anymore. I used to
Mhm.
be, because that's just the way it was easier to just like, I didn't have the space for the MOC stuff. But I do have a pretty extensive classic superstars collection. I actually, all the classic superstars, I think, for the most, not all of them, but like 90% of them I opened like as they came out. So like that era of Jacks, like I would buy them and I would rip them open and I would display them. And actually bought them all back. Like, I bought all them in the last like 5 years. Like, so I never even sold the loose. I still have all the loose ones, and then I like basically bought all the mock ones, and that ballooned, and you've seen
Mhm.
the walls down in the basement there.
Yeah.
Um, which I'm proud of. But yeah, I had to do that. It just,
Right. So like now with you doing a lot of like you go to a lot of signings and do like the virtual stuff. So like when it comes to buying figures now, do you have like a rule that you have in place? Like you probably say to yourself like, okay, I may see this person, so I'm not going to open it. Compared to like say if like a Mr. Perfect figure comes out, like knowing that he's not around anymore, would you keep that? Would you open it or would you still leave it
I'm always going to
MOC?
keep it in the box first. It's
Okay.
rare occasion that I open it. If anything, I'll open it if like I get an extra one for really cheap, or it's a beater
Mhm.
box, or like I just really like the figure, so I'll get a couple extra of them and I'll do it.
Yeah.
I just, it's so weird with like the way figures are these days. Like, I always get like weird about ripping them open because you never know. Like, you always regret it later. Like, I should have kept that one on card and not done
Right.
it myself. Like, sometimes I actually just like would rather buy some loose figures already open, like, because I just don't want to open them myself. And I know there's other
Right.
collectors out there kind of feel the same way, where it's like, I'd rather like somebody just sell me their one or something, so I don't have to open this.
Yeah,
Because you
that's
kind of have
true.
this like, there's a guilt complex as a mod collector, where you're like, you respect it so much that when you rip that open, it's like, I don't know, it just feels dirty somewhat. You're like,
Hmm.
you work so hard never to break that seal, and then you're doing it, and you're like, ah. So and I think that the people that collect, like, more so on in the package, understand that perspective of it too. But yeah, in the package first, because I want to get things signed. So
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, there's people I can't get signed, but those will look cool. Those look cool in the package too, right? So I'm cool with not opening it. I like the
Yeah.
way they display better.
Mhm.
Obviously, loose is, you can save a lot of space. So
Mhm.
that's the advantage of the loose collection. And I've seen some really great ones out there, and who have like 10, 15, 20 detolfs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where my collection goes from here. I mean, there's just so much to buy right now. you know, when it comes to, not only is Mattel killing it still, you know, putting out the regular Elite line, and then they've got all these other extra lines now, and there's Amazon, there's Target lines, there's Walmart lines. Like, you can't stop. You turn around, you think you're complete, and then the next thing you know, there's 5 more figures that you need to get.
Yeah.
But that's just on the Mattel side. Now AEW is huge. You know, everybody loves AEW, and they all love these new figures. And so now it's like, now you want to get those, and these chase figures are driving people crazy, me being one of them, because I just, you know, I'm half completionist and half just
Right.
want those awesome ass Grail pieces like everybody else does, you know. So it's I like what they were doing with that. I know they're moving to the 3,000 and 5,000 model, which is probably smart, you know, and good for the collectors. But these are going to be really cool. These early ones, I think, like these early 500,000 pieces, I think they're going to hold some value for a while. So it's a cool time.
Yeah, because those are definitely more like the beginning of the line. So if you have those like in your collection and you keep them, you know, mint, they're gonna be worth way more money, you
Yeah,
know, down the line. Like right now, you know, it's so crazy because you know how much these figures are going for. They're going for like $500. Some of them are even going for like $1,000.
Cody's
So
are going for about $900 right now. I mean,
yeah,
good luck getting one.
so imagine that a Cody Chase is going for $900 to $1,000. How much it's going to be, say, like a couple of years down the line from now,
Yeah,
where it's like, well, yeah, there's 3,000 of these being made now, but this particular figure was only made of 1,000 of them or 500 of them, or whatever that, you know, the number was. So it's going to hold up some type of
and the
value.
distribution is just, you know, really rotten the first few
Oh
series,
yeah.
because, you know, they don't know if they have a home run or not yet, and I think they
Mm-hmm.
do, and I think they know now they have a home run, and now Target officially has them, and I think you're going to start seeing the AW figures pop up a little easier. But like first couple like series, I mean, like I don't, my Walmarts around here are crappy to begin with, like, and if they
Mm-hmm.
get anything at all, you know, you got to be there that day, or you ain't gonna get anything. And, you know, either somebody else is gonna get that whole jackpot and take it with them, or somebody's waiting to take it like off the pallet themselves.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
so like, and that's it. And like that Walmart might just be getting that one case of AEW figures, and that's it. And like, good luck, you know. And like AEW
Mm-hmm.
one, I never saw a single one in the stores. You know, I'm not the hunter I used to be when it comes to going out to the stores. I'm more of an online guy, and like I'm home a lot, but you know, I still hit the stores, and you know, good luck if you're not checking BrickSeek and Pop Finder to find
Yep.
that stuff on your own. Like, you're gonna see
Yeah.
empty pegs
Yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. It's like, you know, here in New York, you know, it's tough at times because one, there's so many collectors here in New York, and then not only you dealing with collectors, you're dealing with crappy managers and associates who don't want to go to the back to go get anything for you, or if it's street dated, they're not gonna give it to you. They'll probably give it to a friend, and then you have to get there, you know, super early to get these figures, because if not, you're gonna miss out, and then you have to go on BrickSeek or Pop Finder to see if another store will eventually have it, or if they
Yeah.
do have it, and then you kind of risking that factor of saying like, okay, they said they got 4. I know there's 4 to a case. Let me run over, and then they tell you, oh no, we don't have anything.
Yep.
Like, you know, it's a disappointment, but
It's
it's like
hard enough with just a regular set of figures, and now you're talking about a chase on top of it. You know what I mean?
mhm.
That you're looking for, and these guys know, like these people, some of these people that work there, they know that you're looking for that type of figure. Not everybody knows that, but a lot of these people that work in toys know that
Oh yeah.
there's a hot figure out there that's selling for $800. You know what I mean? So, not to say that they're taking it, and that's like a big thing, but look, I mean, it's part of the game too. You have to play, that's against you.
Mhm.
So it's another obstacle when it comes to finding something like this, and you have a very short window. I mean, let's face it, we're probably done finding most of those first 2 series chases in stores right now. Like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
those are done. Like, there's 2 weeks they probably released all of them in all the stores, and now series 3 is coming out. You know, we'll be on the lookout for those chases. So, you know, it's just like, that's it. Your chance was gone, and now you go to eBay, and everyone's paying $300, so that price
Oh
isn't
yeah.
going down.
Yeah, I can't see myself paying 300. I mean, I wasn't too much of a fan of the chase figures from Wave One, so I wasn't eager enough to just say like, okay, I need to get this.
Mhm.
But like the newer figures that are coming in, once you know Jazzware started to improve a lot more with their figures, and they came up with these newer chases. I was just like, you know what? If I could find it in the store or get it somehow for a good price, I'll probably put put money down for it and put it in my collection. But for right now, I'm holding off because there's just so much that's
I don't
out
blame
there.
you. I don't blame you. If I wasn't like crazy, I would have too, but like I just got that like bug where like I had to get it.
Right.
I found a couple of deals. I spent less than like the going rate for these, but I did spend a little bit of coin on the I got the Jericho, the Mox up there, and the MJF's in the mail right now. So
Okay.
I
Okay.
just this is bad, but hey,
Oh
this is
yeah.
where we are right
So,
now, and you have to pick and choose what you're gonna collect. So I mean, I have to turn things down so that I can buy those big purchases.
so one thing that always gets me, and I like to just to get to know, is like you say you was married, right? You say you're married. So what does your wife think of all this? Because I know my wife, she looks at it and she goes, another toy. I'm like, yeah. And I have to explain to her, I was like, this is just something that I like, it's better than being out in the street or spending my money someplace where she doesn't know. I said, at least you know where my money's going. I go to work, I pay bills, the little bit of extra change that I have, I'll buy a couple of figures here and 4 or 5 boxes come to the house. But, it's like, well, what can you do?
I mean, it's gotten different. It's gotten a little bit more difficult in some ways. I think, after we've had children. So I think prioritizing is the biggest thing. I don't think that she has a problem with the collection as much as she might have a problem with what I'm prioritizing. Am I spending too much money on this versus spending money on the things that we need to buy? Am I thinking too much about the stuff? Am I obsessing about something like a toy versus other stuff in life? So I think that's the kind of stuff where she gets personally offended, and she might have the right to. Other than that, as long as I'm not like, putting that stuff like so far ahead of everything else that it's offensive, she doesn't mind. I mean, she's cool with me having, the toys in the house. She was cool with moving to a house like the one we have. I mean, she wanted to move to a bigger house for our children, and I think she wanted to get out of the city, but she knew that I was going to have I wanted a big basement for just this collection. So for her to be a supporter in that, that way, to make that a part of what we were headed to have as a family, I mean, that's the kind of support that anybody would be lucky enough, should be lucky to have, because I don't know, if I wasn't a collector, if I was with somebody like myself who was as obsessed as I am, I mean, that would be tough. So it does take a strong person to be with somebody, I think, like us, who do love this stuff as adults, because hey, I'm in my mid-30s, and it is not a common thing that most adult males are doing, right? But I mean, there's a large community of collectors, and it is great to see guys like Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, adult males like same age as us, who are professional wrestlers and are respected and who have made great lives for themselves in this business, as big of a collector as we are. It helps you kind of get rid of that stigma of feeling like, should I feel bad for being a 30-something-year-old collector of toys? And then you're like, well, you know what? There's a lot of people like me out there, and maybe and that's okay. And then, and hey, it's collectible. It's stuff that really does have value, I think, at the end of the day. So, you might be really just like in for it because you like the way it looks and stuff. But hey, you could still, it's better than drugs. It's better than something you'll never see again. Like, you can get money back for this, and you might be able to make money one day on your collection. And that can support your children and their children. You never know. So, there's a lot of good with this stuff, and my wife knows if anything ever happens, she's got a lot of good stuff to have help with handling.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's what I
You
told her. I
know?
said, I told her because we had a conversation once where I told her, I was like, I collect a lot of these things and I keep it in box and I put them away because she'll see me, like, I'll wrap stuff up, put it in a box, and I'll like make sure that like nothing happens to it, and she'll just look at me and she'll laugh and shake her head. And I said, watch. I said, look at these pieces, and these things are going to be worth money. And I remember I went to the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast toy drive, and MJF was there, and I had the MJF figure, and I got it signed, right? And I was gonna keep it for myself, and I said, you know what? Okay, cool. This is a cool thing to have in my collection. And then somebody made me an offer. Somebody was like, out the blue, came and was just like, hey, I want to buy that figure from you. And I was just like, oh yeah, whatever. And the person goes and says, I'll give you $300 for it. And I was like, you want to pay me $300 for this? And then literally I paid maybe like $50 altogether, including the figure, the autograph, and then just gas getting there. I was like, all right, sure. Sold it to him. I sent a screenshot to my wife, and she was just like, okay, all right, you can, continue on. I was like, yeah, I told her, like,
this is where we are.
My belt collection alone, I can take that and get a couple of thousand for it. And she just, just the way I have everything displayed, and she's just like, okay. And I told her, I was like, God forbid something was to happen to me, the figures, give them to like my brother and one of my best friends, and the belts, sell all of them and take the money and do whatever you need to do with it. Like,
just make sure you talk to the right people. Like, that's what I always say. Like, I have friends that are in this, that know me well and know my collection well. And hopefully they would be the ones to point her in the right direction at the same time.
Yeah,
right. Like, I will make sure
definitely.
you get ripped off. Don't just give it to, like, because the one guy's like, come on, hey, you got a big collection, I'll give you X amount of money. And piece it out, make sure you get the maximum for what you have, But I mean, like, that's how it is. It's a shark business right now, though. Like, this is a business. And what's crazy, and like, I started collecting, I wasn't really into autographs until about like 5 years ago, like 2000, and I wouldn't say 2016 I started getting really into them. I never collected autographs all those years. I just never cared about autographs. I had a friend that would get all of his classic superstars, all these old Hasbros, all these old LJNs. He got them all signed, and he would use paint pen. And I thought it was really cool. And I was like, the paint pen really make these figures look cool. Like, because I always like would see like all these guys with like Sharpie figures where the autographs just look shitty or they fade, And it was like, I was always like, well, I'm going to spend money to do that. When I started seeing these paint pen, figures that my friend was buying, I eventually was like, I don't know, I kind of want to do it. But I don't know. I just got inspired. I don't even remember exactly what inspired me, but all of a sudden it was like, I want to do this now. And it just started, like you talk about, like with the ring worn stuff. And I decided I was going to start doing it. And then the next thing I know is like every single figure I have, which was a really big figure collection, because I've been collecting Mattels pretty hardcore since they started with the elites in the box. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to get all these signed. And so I've had a lot of success. And right now I think, like, man, people will pay a lot more money than I spent on a lot of this stuff, because it's crazy right now. Like, so I don't have any regrets. I mean, I think as far as what I've put into this, it's a lot, but I think it's worth it. I know what the stuff is worth at this point, and there's people that just don't sign very often. So
that's true.
Or who aren't here anymore.
Yeah.
So, that was a big thing for me. That was like, I kind of regretted like not getting guys like Macho Man and like, like there were just people that I missed, right before I started doing it. So it was like, man, I don't want to like keep doing that. I don't want to keep missing my opportunity with these guys, because we're getting older and that generation isn't going to be here very long. So I feel like that really was what kind of inspired me more. And then it just ballooned. But I think it was like, yeah, you want to do this because, like, A, it's going to be valuable, and B, it's like you're not going to have a million chances with everybody. Like, yeah, some guys you'll take for granted that you see all the time, but then the next day they're not there anymore. So, and my kids aren't going to have ever been in a world where some of these guys who were a big part of my life existed. So that's just weird, but for me, they'll always be alive, I think, if you keep these memories. So
so I know Mattel has, unveiled a lot of different figures that are coming out this year in the next couple of months. So is there any figure so far that you've seen or maybe heard of rumors that are going to be made that you're like really excited for? Or is it just like,
I mean, I always get excited about like any of the legends coming up. I know there's some of those coming out, some new single releases that I saw pictures of that were coming out. That I'm pretty hyped about, and any like new superstars that haven't had figures before. I think there's going to be a Karrion Kross figure this year. I think there's going to be a Scarlet, which is going to be cool. So people like that. God, who else is coming? There's so many. Like, it's just like everyone's coming. Even though it's like there's a lot of placeholder figures, there's a lot of new stuff.
I'm definitely looking forward to the Austin Ultimate Edition. I'm a big Stone Cold fan, so
the Ultimate Editions, man. The Edge is coming out. The Macho Man WrestleMania 8's coming out, I think, right? So,
yeah,
man, those
you gotta get the wallets ready. I actually took a break because I was like buying stuff every week, but I'm in the process now of getting a house. So I try to I told my wife I'll keep it down a little bit. So she won't.
I mean, some of the stuff with Ringside, it's like I like to pre-order all my Elite sets, but I mean, at the same time, like you wait a couple weeks and or months, and like Amazon's got them for $20. You know, save a little bit of money. You know, sometimes, right? Because I'm spending all this money, and then half the time it's like, was it worth it to get them? You know, 2-3 weeks early. But yeah, you know, you definitely gotta make like good choices, I guess. But every week there's something else. You know, AEW is gonna have them every other month, so it's like, when you get a chance to stop, I don't know.
Yeah, you never really know. So, man, it was great talking to you. So, if anybody wants to check out your collection and they not following you, where can they find you on the socials?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, at Wrestling Merch, I definitely, appreciate you giving me some time to talk with you today. Definitely, if you're not following me, definitely follow me. I'm always posting new stuff I'm getting, always mail calls and just fun stuff. I'm going to do a collection tour pretty soon. So for all you out there that kind of want to see the whole basement, I'm going to try to put that together so you kind of see everything I've done so far. Other than that, that's really about it. So it's where I am, like I don't, the other social media I just kind of use for, whatever other boring stuff. So, but that's really it, man. And yeah, just, I love the game, and it was really good to talk to you, man. Hopefully we'll get to actually see each other in real life. Soon, maybe next year, maybe this year at one of these
Hopefully
shows.
With this whole pandemic stuff, you never know, but definitely, I'll look out for you. You look out for me type of thing.
And then enjoy the big event, which is coming up next month. So enjoy that. Enjoy meeting Big Show. I look forward to seeing all the pictures, and I hope to get some of the fruits of those autographs myself. So
definitely. Well, man, thank you for coming on the show, and I'll be talking to you.
Awesome, man. Yeah, look forward to it.